Join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everybody, good evening. Guessing everybody had plenty of turkey to eat. Still working on it? Kinda, sorta. We're gonna jump right into approval of the agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I have a second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Next item is closed session minutes. We got some action items out of closed session. Which ones we got? October 24th, November 6th, and November 14th. Anybody got anything they want to change on them? Otherwise, I need a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Betsy, please.
Yes. Duriraj.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Siren.
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Urevich.
Yes.
And Kopp.
Yes. Moving on, communications. We've got some good news to report. We got some tennis players in the room, I understand.
Awesome tennis players.
Yes.
The best.
So one of the best parts of my job is I get to welcome many of our sports teams to the meetings, and tonight I get the distinct privilege of welcoming our second place finishing girls tennis team. So wanted to congratulate the girls and the coaches. Coach Hayden Esker was the head coach. He unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. Neither could one of the assistants, Chuck Jansen, but Tom and Champa are here, and they're going to introduce the girls and say a couple words about them. And we just want to tell you guys how proud we are of you and what a great accomplishment it is. And we'll get the name on that trophy here pretty soon, and we'll get it up in the trophy case and so everybody can see it. Yeah.
Dusty, thank you very much. My name is Tom Walters and Champa Ostrom, and on behalf of Hayden Esker and Chuck Jansen, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. This is kind of a special year. You don't get this very often, and this year we did. We had a tremendous performance by a wonderful group of young women who really showed their abilities and showed what it was like to be a team. The team that went up to state, the team that qualified, each one of them brought home points with them that were essential to us coming in second place. And again, we've never done this before, so this is a super, super exciting time. And then one story I would just like to share with you, one that sort of sums it up, Champa and I were talking about just before the meeting, and that simply was, we were seated in the tournament, and we were playing the number one seeded team in the semifinals, our doubles team. And we were down 5-1, 5 games to 1, first one to 6, 2 out of 3 sets. We were down 5 games to 1. Pretty much think, well, we did a good job. We're playing the number one seeded team, and we did the best we could, but we feel good about ourselves. But that's not the type of girls that we have. And these girls stepped up and won a game, and then they won another one, and then they switched sides in the 10th. Maybe we could do this. And they won another one, and they won 6 games straight to win that last set against the number one seed in the state. Pretty special experience for the girls, and we're just so honored to be here tonight and to celebrate their victories and the season as a whole. And so, girls, I'd just like to say on behalf of Hayden, again, congratulations. You guys were just absolutely wonderful, and we're hoping that the younger girls can come back next season and do the same thing, but I think we've set the bar pretty high now, so we're really excited about it. And Champa, if you don't mind mentioning the names.
Okay, one person that's not here is Anna Lichikov. She was part of that team, the doubles team that went to the finals. Maida Benegala. Emily Briggs. Hannah Riegel.
Yeah, would you guys like a group picture and maybe with the emblem in the background? Or
If that's okay with you, we'd love that, yes. Ladies, come on up.
then I can photobomb and get it. Yeah, I guess we can stay.
Can you see all of you?
No, we're good. You guys did it.
It's okay, yeah.
Thank you again.
Congratulations.
You guys are welcome to stay.
Silver. Take care.
All right, moving on. Look forward to good news, some more good news. Recognition of school board members in honor of School Board Member Appreciation Day was November 15th.
We do. November 15th as a time that throughout the state of Illinois, board members are recognized for their dedication and hard work. And for those of you perhaps that maybe have served on boards of education, understand that. But for those of you that don't, there's a great deal of appreciation because the amount of work, the extra meetings, the extra schedules, the time commitments are fairly consuming. As I think most of you, when I look around the room, I know what you mean because all of you spend so much time at what you do. But in recognition of that, our schools have provided books for you to sign that will go back. I always love this because we could hand out cupcakes or different things and it's done and said and done. But with the books, it's something that'll go on forever regardless of the number of years that you serve on the board. So on behalf of all of our administration and our staff, we'd like to thank you for your service for the Ball-Chatham Board of Education. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We're honored. Yes.
Thank you.
Director of Technology Annual Report. Josh?
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Hold on, Josh, for some reason.
Is that me?
Yeah, it might be.
Hang on, let me change mine. There we go. All right. First, thanks for allowing me some time tonight to give you an update annual report. Just a little bit of background here on our overall department. We also figured out how important it was to have a mission statement and to have some guiding principles in our department so we can judge and plan our days accordingly and basically move towards our mission within our department. Anytime our guys are out in the field, we came up with this mission statement that Technology Department will continuously strive to exceed customer expectations by providing high quality service while embodying the values defined by the department. So this has been an ongoing process within our department this year because we noticed that we also needed to have some guiding principles to guide us through our days, so we jumped on that board as well. Just again for some background information I know we had some newer board members. This is basically the organizational chart of our department. I'm the director. I have two administrators underneath me. Our network administrator, who's mainly does the server hardware side of things, and then a systems administrator who's more of the software side. A lot of Skyward support is his main job. And then we have three techs who are hourly employees that are more hands-on, help desk, day-to-day tasks out there with the teachers on a daily basis. That's not to say, in all reality, when push comes to shove, all of us, all 6, are out there in the field helping, no matter how small the task is. Wanted to actually go back a little bit, since it is a little bit difficult for me to do an annual report, especially in November, whenever my physical year really starts soon as the teachers and students leave. That's when all our heavy lifting starts going on, because obviously with the dependence on technology, it's hard for us to do anything major while we have staff and students here. So we have to plan ahead of time and knock out our major goals in the summer. The things that we can't take down, we obviously can't take down the system during the school days, so we've got to plan for that ahead of time. I did want to, going back, because we didn't do this last year, I'll only go to the 16-17. We did start, and I'm going to reflect all these on the goals that I also outlined in the SIP school improvement plan. And going back to goal 1 was increase equitable access to technology across all buildings, grades K through 12. So we actually started this in 16-17, recognized that we had a major issue district-wide. All of our desktops were the same specs and basically all outdated. So we had to start that desktop rotation last year, and that's when we started purchasing replacement machines for our teachers. We started at GIS, and we also identified even our principals, our admins, secretaries didn't have reliable machines, so we started to replace those to make sure they had adequate devices to work on a daily basis. So that was 16-17. Same goal moving forward, present year. This year, again in the summer, because obviously we want to have the machines up and going before the teachers arrive. We replaced 100 teacher desktops throughout the elementary buildings. We replaced 30 teacher machines at Glenwood Middle School. And we just finished the image on those for 30 machines that are going in Glenwood High School. And the reason why those were a little bit more delayed, we got those through another school district who was phasing them out just because they were one-to-one. They offered them to us. They are better than the machines we had, so this bought us time to get our teachers better machines. It took a little bit longer on the high school too, because we had to almost wait for the teachers to come back, because we were going to outfit these for GHS science and math department, and they have some specialized software that we had to retrieve from them to make sure that all the machines were outfitted the way they need it with the specialized programs and that. So those will be going down, or going in this week. They've already started going in. We also believe we're finalizing working with special ed with Josie on buying 40 more machines that'll help her special ed teachers as well. That one wasn't on there because that wasn't finalized, but met with Josie this week, and it looks like we're going to be able to make that happen. Still in goal 1, we're still making sure that we have adequate access, and we're replacing and providing additional Chromebooks to the buildings. Note, down here it includes new and repurposed Chromebooks. I'll come more back to that here in a second, but we're able to give, this is the numbers breakdown, 58 machines to Ball, 58 to Chatham Elementary, 65 to Glenwood Elementary, 60 to the intermediate school, and then 250 to the high school. I'll hit more on that because obviously we're missing a school, but that will solve itself here on the next goal. The other goal, the other action was we were going to start phasing out the thin clients, the thin desktops. We know the struggles that's faced, and it was basically time to move away from it. So we identified the areas that we wanted to convert first from that, and this summer we, again, making sure it was ready for the kids' first day of school, replaced all the Glenwood High School library machines. There's roughly 30 in the lab, and then probably a good 15 more, I believe, out in the library itself. We also replaced the machines that were up in the tutoring room. On those, we didn't buy anything new, really, but what we did was with the machines that we took away from the teachers, we put in the lab. So once we gave the teachers the new machines, that freed up some older machines. At least we gave them more reliable solution in the labs. So again, is it an area we still need to improve? Absolutely, but we're better off than where we were. Again, district nurses, we made sure the district nurses had dependable machines. Our cafeteria, we made sure all our cafeteria checkouts are now on desktops, because I can tell you multiple times last year when Citrix would have problems, our lunch lines were down. So we made sure that all cafeteria checkout lines have a desktop now. Also, head custodians have one reliable machine as well, and our librarians. What this leaves us now are the main areas where we still have thin clients are our labs in our lower levels, our middle school, and our intermediate school. Some of the elementaries have classroom machines. Mainly, a high density of those are Glenwood Elementary. And we have some sporadic machines placed for more than anything, kiosk machines for employees to clock in and out of Skyward. For example, transportation buildings has some thin clients that will eventually want to put something out there, and places like that. Not high user base, so that's why they're lower on the replacement schedule. Goal 2, decrease the student to device ratio with the goal of 1-to-1 in grades 2 through 12. Again, going back historically, the intermediate school was pretty much at a point where it was 1-to-1 in 16-17. The biggest thing that they needed was, and Ms. Gregorich can chime in if she chooses on this one, but they stopped, if I'm correct, carrying them in 15-16, correct?
They started.
When did they stop carrying them?
They never stopped carrying them.
Oh, they didn't stop carrying. When did we? But we bought the bags in 16-17, correct?
Right.
Mainly because breakage issues and things like that. I wish I could say the bags cured all the breaks, but hopefully at least reduce them. We still have breaks. So that was our big push there. Now that all our 6th grade have bags and carry them from class to class. All 5th grade are still cart-based because they don't switch rooms. So this is, again, going back to present day. We issued Glenwood middle school students with individual Chromebooks and carrying bags. What I did was I took the new Chromebooks that we bought this summer that we RFP'd and took those and gave them to the 7th grade. I wanted everybody to be on an equal playing field. I didn't want one kid to have a brand new device and one kid have a 3-year-old device. So we made sure all 7th grade had brand new Chromebooks. We also then took all the middle school Chromebooks that they had throughout the building, went through and got the 8th grade identical machines. Went through, cleaned them all, cleaned screens, physically cleaned them, made sure they were all operational, not a single key missing off any of them, and assigned those individually to the 8th graders and assigned them bags as well. What this allowed us to do, and at first it was with the help of Tina and her staff, there was some question as, well, why can't we just have the new Chromebooks and we'll keep the old Chromebooks and then we can just stay carts and the kids won't carry them from class to class. And we really showed and illustrated that by giving them their individual Chromebook would free up devices that we could ship to the high school. On a given period, I believe, was it 6 teachers possibly on prep at a time? So we explained, you have 6 teachers on prep, but that's 6 empty carts that could be being used somewhere else. So going back, GMS technically wasn't on the chart, but they got the machines. We took 6 carts from the middle school and into the high school. So that added to, I believe, the 11 that the high school already had. We also took some of the spare from the middle school and distributed them amongst the elementaries as well. Goal 3 was to maintain, support, expand the network infrastructure as the district needs to grow and evolve. Again, going back to the 16th, 17th, before that we were on a 250 meg pipe. And you could quickly see that it wasn't going to sustain our one-to-one network. As we had more devices, more kids to our network, it just wasn't going to handle it. So we upgraded it to a 1 gig pipe. So we have a 1 gig pipe coming out of the high school to the internet. We also upgraded our firewall and our content filter and our core router to support that 1 gig, because you can open the lane, but if the gate to the lane isn't big enough, it's not going to do you any good. So that's what in 16/17 we did. Present, this summer we completed the upgrades to the point-to-point links between Chatham Elementary to WSEC, the district office to WSEC, and Ball Elementary to transportation. So that's our wireless point-to-points. Obviously, we don't have a tower at the high school, it's at the radio station. So from Chatham Elementary, we upgraded that. Was a 300 one-way, so you almost have to split that in half, so it was a 150 meg pipe, and now it's a 600 both ways, to where it goes to Chatham at 600 and back at 600. And same thing for the district office. We were going to initially put the tower, or the radio from Ball Elementary at the high school as well to speed it up, but that's also where we started negotiating with WSEC. They wanted to charge us to put an additional radio on there, and it just wasn't worth it at that point. So we also throughout the district had uninterruptible power supplies, but I would say 90% of them weren't working. So we used E-rate money and replaced all our uninterruptible power supplies on all our core switches. So now they're protected. We also put them on any vital equipment. The security camera servers are on those now. Anything critical is on those. Yeah, go ahead.
Josh, back to the WSEC thing, how does the sale of that tower affect
I
us?
believe whenever we were looking at that, they just roll our contract over. So our stance shouldn't change.
That was our understanding,
That's the way I
and then the other
understood it.
thing would be, would we ever need to upgrade and they'll charge us more, or did we miss something there?
I don't think so, because even whenever the whole tower business, I mean, I can't say, but I knew a guy, and it's kind of a small world. Dr. Wood actually knew him. I said, you need to call him and get his opinion on this. And he said, you can build a brand new one and still come out ahead. So I don't think it was a good idea to purchase that tower, to tell you the truth. So I think we made the right call there. Now, this isn't to say whenever that lease comes up, I do think that people need to be sitting at the table to say, you know, that tower's on our land, you're charging us $200 or whatever, $50 to use it, and we're charging you $1. There needs to be a little bit more negotiation there. And maybe that's when we come to them and say, we also want to put an additional tower on, or radio on there. At the time, it wasn't worth it, but eventually, it very well could be.
Will we still have access to upgrade those transmitters up there?
Yeah, the transmitters are ours, so we'd be able. We have the rights to 2 of them up there already.
But if we want to upgrade those at
Yeah.
a future date,
Yeah.
as
Yep.
our pipes grow.
Yeah, we could do that. And the radios that we have actually up there now, we just had to buy an upgrade, put a dual radio on them for future expand. We bought them to where we could future expand them, and they'll go up double the speed they are now. So
Do you think in the future we might be looking at a hybrid situation, or do you think we're always going to be stuck with the radios?
the killer on us is the middle school and intermediate,
The water?
because of having to trench around the lake.
Okay.
I will come back to that we might want to look at a different scenario. And then Ball's its own. I can't get anything almost at Ball. Even at phones, I've been trying to get them different phone provider out there. So most companies will say it's going to cost us X amount of dollars. They'll eat the cost because they know they're going to charge you for 3 years. But with those builds around that water, they didn't want to touch it. Well, they'll touch it, but it wasn't worth it at that point. You can lease fiber too, but I just hate paying monthly for something. we own those towers and those radios, so it's
Is that
nothing
with
to us.
the fiber that you can lease, is that CWLP's fiber? Or?
It's CWLPs, AT&Ts, Frontiers, a lot of those are doing that now, but it's a good amount of money per month to just have it a point-to-point even. So, and depending on E-rate and the bandwidth thing, that could change too. So this is our current layout of basically our WAN. We got the one pipe going out from GHS to the internet, and everything feeds out. Now I would say then the one area then that we could look at is this area, the transportation GIS. We could almost split this into two different ones, and it might be more beneficial to put in a second internet connection, say at the intermediate school or GMS, it doesn't really matter, you just pick one, put it there, and all that traffic would go to the internet out of that pipe, and then the rest of the traffic would go out to the high school. The benefit of that is we could make it to where if the high school fails, they go to the intermediate. If the intermediate fails, they go through the high school. I'll come more into that too, because we can't do anything. We're under contract right now, but that's coming due, so that is going to be something on our future planning that we start to look at. Is that more beneficial? The only problem with that then too is you got to buy 2 firewalls. But again, it's a cost or a pros versus cons thing.
Who's that contracted with?
Comcast.
That's Comcast?
Yep. And I only signed it 3 year, and this I'll talk more on that. But yeah, it's coming due next year. Goal 4 was provide basically professional development on the technology. Again, our historical, last year we really focused, we set even a technology leaders group, we set baseline goals. We know that we're going to have some teachers way up here, we're going to have some teachers way down here, but we at least wanted to set a baseline. These are the skills that we expect everyone to know how to do. In the Google Suite, and we identified those, and then the rest of the professional development last year was heavy on providing training for those. So it was at least now we feel like our teachers have a baseline to go off of. I don't want to go into present day goal 4. I want to do more future coming up. So again, you might be thinking, well, you've done your majority of your goals, which is true, but again, my big goals have to be done before anybody's here. Now it's more, okay, we evaluate things, what can we change? We utilize the breaks. We'll more than likely put in those 40 desktops that we get through the special ed over Christmas break. Anything major like that, we'll use spring break. Like I said, Christmas break, SIP days, that's when we can do it. But again, our time's limited because even on SIP days, teachers are still here working. But here's some immediate goals that we will be working on. The computer lab upgrades, like I said, those are the 3 big areas. The 3 elementary labs are still on thin clients. I would like to we're starting to evaluate some alternatives to get them off the thin clients and onto a different solution. And we're also talked a little bit with Ms. Gregorich on looking at her intermediate school lab and what we could do there. The intermediate school labs are kind of a different beast because they're one-to-one. They don't go into the labs a whole lot right now. So I think this is an ideal time to look what can that lab be turned into. More of a makerspace area, more of a STEAM area, things like that. A spot where kids can go to collaborate and do things that other districts that we're seeing is doing we're kind of behind at. Another big thing that I've started evaluating, I've sat on a couple webinars and have started gathering some quotes on our different supports for students, security, why they're using our technology here. And that could be everything from, I know Greg, you'd asked me to look into it, and I'd looked into kind of similar to the anonymous tip line. And Betsy's actually working on it now too as well. Our school messenger has like a web-based version of that. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at there's some platforms out there that will identify when kids could be sending emails, could be doing searches that could do self-harm and things like that, and it sends a notification. So we just want to make sure if there's things out there that we can better secure and take care of our kids, we're at least looking at those options as well.
Josh, I just wanted to reiterate a little bit of what he's talking about as well. You know, a big piece of what kids are dealing with now, whether it's, you know, with things in school, I mean, you'd mentioned self-harm and things like that, but is having the ability to anonymously report things. Oftentimes, there's a stigma attached with somebody reporting, and so we're hoping by providing some of these opportunities, it will give kids a different platform to be able to contact somebody anonymously so that we can investigate, you know. In many instances, it ends up, you know, the leads are not necessarily result in anything, but if there is a circumstance or two that can be resolved as a result of that type of a platform, so be it. But I just wanted to explain a little bit what we're trying to do, and that's to create more of an opportunity for students to communicate, or parents in situations where they feel that they can express or share something that's going on that they may be able to assist with, or something that may be even happening to another student. There's a safety net there, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's even, and even going on that, there's tools if it gets Googling, you know, how to do this, how to do that, it'll send a flag up. So we haven't moved forward with those, so that's just baseline. We're evaluating those, and again, as our technology increases, as we put more kids on devices, we want to make sure it's as safe an environment as we possibly can provide.
Hey, Josh.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You said your computer lab upgrades in 3 elementary buildings, so it is a separate room with the desktops. That's the meaning.
Right now, that's where the virtual desktops are still at.
Okay. So also I understand that every kid is getting a Chromebook, right?
The lower levels, it'd only be through 2nd grade is what we plan on. So you still have kindergartens even go down there, kindergarten, 1st grade. So we still want to make sure that they have something reliable and useful down there for them as well.
Oh, okay. I thought they also get the Chromebook. So
Yeah.
So are your email clients up to date with the new AI stuff, so it does the spear phishing and stuff, so it protects us as a whole, or are we not there yet?
It's all ours is through Google, so it's all, as much as they are.
So whatever they're doing.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'd say we're pretty well protected, but like me and Dr. Wood were kind of talking on this before. Even at home, you could buy the best home security,
Right.
but if you got somebody on the inside that says, come on in, there's nothing we can do. But you're right, I mean, there's something new every day. And you know, we send out some things, hey, don't check this, if this looks suspicious, delete it. It's just one of those things where you got to try to do your due diligence to protect yourself. But with something new popping up every day, no vulnerabilities, it seems like there's something coming up now. We just got to do our best to. It does worry me for sure. I mean, you're seeing it more and more with the ransomware. I think it was Pekin High School that got hit by it. It's a scary thing. So I think the best we can do is just educate as much as we can and make sure we have things in place to at least backups, you know, our firewalls up to date, things like that, you know. Now, moving forward, I'm going to circle back again on the goals and where do we need to go then, okay? I will be coming, I'll tell you now, because I know in the previous reports you want to know, well, what's your future planning? Well, my future is I'm going to come to you before the summer again, and I'm going to say, okay, per our replacement, teacher desktop replacement plan, we need to put another RFP out. We need to put another RFP out to start looking at purchasing these Chromebooks. And this time, starting now, we'll start gearing up and saying, okay, how many do we need? Where are we going to focus on? What's the plan on how many Chromebooks do we need at the lower levels and things like that. So that's going to be the thing. You guys, I know, want to know what's coming your way. It's not going to be now. It'll be closer till, I'd say, March area, where I'm going to come and say, can I have your permission to post the RFP for our desktops? Can I have permission to post RFP for our Chromebooks?
What kind of specs are we putting in those new desktops?
We're putting in nothing less than i5s in them and 8 gigs of RAM. So, yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah. They're smoking compared to what we have. I don't even want to tell you what we had before, but yeah. So that will be the goal. So again, move forward with our desktop replacement, make sure we have Chromebooks coming. Thin clients, like I said, the big thing was going to be, what are we doing with those labs? After we replace the labs in, what do we have left? Identifying those critical ones, and saying, okay, now that they're gone, maybe we've freed up desktops again because we're going to be replacing again so many machines that we can take those, okay, maybe we can put those in the elementary labs or vice versa or something along those lines. This is a big one. Again, on this goal, it was to finalize. I think I need to talk with Dr. Wood. We probably need to get our technology committee to gather, and we have some key questions on moving forward with this one-to-one. Like I told you last month, I don't want this to be the Josh Mulvaney one-to-one plan. I think it needs to be the Ball-Chatham one-to-one plan. I have my ideas of what it should look like, but I think we need to get the people at the table and answer these hot topics. I don't want to go into these right now, and this information only tonight, but this is really the big ones that you see district asking all the time. These are the ones that vary from district to district. Sometime we need to sit down and say, what are the answers to these questions?
What is the cost of a Chromebook if you bought a new one? $150?
The last batch we bought was $160 something. I say on average you're safe saying under $200.
And what's the usability of those? How long of shelf life do they have? 4 years?
I'd say you're safe 4. I would say I'd feel better saying 3. Just from wear and tear. You might be able to get 5 out of them. It's you want me to be honest with you? I'd say it's going to be on who's on the other end of it.
So they're not unreasonable for parents to be able to purchase something like that and be able to take it home.
No.
And if maintained, the technology is good enough to last.
Yeah, because all it is a web browser,
right.
And Google will guarantee them for 5, because all they're doing is doing the software updates.
And if we
They're going past that, but again, from past experience, I've seen kids that I never seen in 3 years type of deal when I was in a previous one-to-one environment, and I seen kids down there every day in a help desk. So it's really, does that kid take care of it? If he does, we won't have any issues. And that would come back to the repair guidelines and things like that.
I mean, isn't that best if they had a machine that they could take with them?
I would say yes.
I mean, instead of having them tote them around in these bags.
I would say 100%.
And are the majority of the other districts figuring out a way for families to purchase, right?
Yeah.
They're doing like long-term lease things, lease-to-own type deals.
It's a lot of what you're seeing is 3 years and it's yours.
And even if we didn't have the funds, maybe that's something that our education foundation could help out, not with the majority of the students, but the students that maybe don't have the funds.
And you would be surprised from districts I've talked to, and even from personal experience, a lot of those times, that's the only way sometimes families can get a device, and they're already, the districts allow them on a payment plan. They take advantage of that because they know that's the best way they can get their kid a device.
I'll tell you what I really like about those Chromebooks being at home. I know my children use them all the time for tutoring and things that if we're not there to assist them with, they could go out and get resources and help that they may not be able to get in their houses.
Yeah.
So I love the technology.
I'm in favor of it. I just think that it needs to be something that we come to a consensus on.
When if families are figuring out how to pay for them, there's skin in the game to take care of it.
That's in my opinion too.
Right.
If not, there's no ownerability in it, and so.
I applaud you asking for feedback to put your plan together. Who do you need in that meeting?
I think I need to talk with Dr. Wood on it, and we'll go through it. And then I think the first group would probably be the technology committee and get on that. I believe it's Greg and Brandon. Bring those two and bring some administrators, bring some teachers on board. On our last one, if we can get maybe a few community members, it's not going to hurt. So
I was thinking if you're going to plan on charging, you might want to have a few parents in.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even be opposed to if we send out a survey, something like that, and see. The only thing I'd caution on that is to remember, I believe it was Ford who said if I would have asked the people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse, so.
You're getting too comfortable up there.
Goal 3, again, this one's ongoing. I mean, I can't plan, there's nothing I can do right now, but this is where we'll start to look at, as we grow, what needs to happen. And like we were talking about earlier, we need to sit down and think. We're out of contract next year. All of next year we'll have to be with Comcast. But next year also we start our E-rate process again, where we put out the bids. And that's when we'll want to say, is a 2 gig pipeline better for us, or is a secondary pipeline better for us? Or is fiber being dug to even to Chatham Elementary, is that beneficial at that time? So that's when we'll need to start sitting down and think about that. So that's an ongoing thing. I will say the biggest one that we have now is right here. Our data storage, whenever they purchased that storage in 2011, it was mainly for the virtual desktop environment. We don't need that probably now. And the more we move to Google, the less we need it. We're getting to a point now where our maintenance cost on this is outweighing probably downsizing and buying new. So if I was going to tell you what else am I going to be coming to you with for this summer, is to replace our current storage solution.
You're saying most of our stuff's out in the cloud, right?
Yeah.
As part of our business.
I mean, as we move now, everything's Google's out in the cloud, so it's less
Do
and
we have
less.
enough space out there, or do we have to acquire?
Nope, that's a benefit of Google Education gets free, unlimited. Yeah, so, but we're just oversized. I mean, the things we have at our middle school and our high schools, we have 2 of them. It's overkill for what we need, and it's just starting to nickel-us to where it's more cost effective to buy a brand new one than do the replacement and repair plans on these. But it's something you want to have a repair plan on because it's our critical data too. And again, bandwidth, we'll evaluate that. Last goal, Fusion. Again, this is what's going on now. Mr. Cox is working with doing the taste of technology in all the buildings. We'll start to look at making that scope and sequence for technology skills for our students, and really gearing towards infusing the tech into the curriculum. This is this year, so this is what we talked about in November. We really haven't done much as far as moving forward with those goals right now. They're ongoing, but none of these are completed for sure.
Are we doing a pretty good job of keeping our teachers up to date with their technology skills?
I think so. I mean, I think it's another one of those deals where we talk about time, as more and more things come out for curriculum and things like that. It's one of those, what outweighs the other. I think what the taste of technology is nice because it's volunteer and the people can come down during their lunch and watch. Because time's just an issue. Teachers are pressed for time, so it's just trying to figure out what do we offer during this professional development and what we don't.
I feel teachers are really good in posting their lesson plans or handouts, materials and everything, but I'm not sure. My daughter is in high school. I'm not sure how far they are giving the test online. Did you, for example, instead of giving the paper and Scantron, we don't teacher create the test, online test. Everybody is having Chromebook in their hands. So if they take the test, immediately they know the results. And also Scantron sometimes, not all time, sometimes if they make mistakes, students can say that no, the answer is B, but you made us a C is the correct answer, so they can easily figure it out. And also the test is present all the time. From the day 1 till they are finishing the course, the test, quiz, everything is online. Whenever they need, they can go back.
I think you're open, that's a whole different can of worms as far as, I think there needs to be a mind shift And obviously the high school's our biggest student to computer ratio, so they're not close to 1-to-1, but they're also, we need to look at maybe how we're providing those tests for sure.
But I really
Or
appreciate-
why are we providing tests, but I don't want to get into that for sure.
But I really appreciate, they post all the materials, everything online, but still they have to give the test, quiz and everything using the.
I
from
agree.
learning
I've
management
come upon teachers and they're sitting in a Scantron machine and I've said, why are you using that Scantron? I mean, but I think we'll get there.
What, I had another question.
Go ahead.
I was looking at these Wacom boards the other day that the kids use for drawing, and it goes right into the system, and they can actually do, I mean, you can do it on tablets now, or you can buy a board. Do we have any technology that's geared towards the art students where they can, learn some of those skills, or is that something we're not close to yet?
I don't, I mean, we have like the active boards and they all have, but I don't think we're at that level for sure. That'd be somewhere we'd want to look. I think that goes on to that whole, how can we turn a lot of our classrooms into the makerspace and get it to where the kids are doing things like that and able to create.
Yeah, we've got some really creative kids.
Absolutely.
It'd be nice for them to have that type of outlet.
Absolutely. I mean, there are apps and stuff that they're using with the Chromebooks. I even seen, who came to she was at Ball last year, your new art teacher, Miss Gregory. Yeah, Kristen Wilburn's at the intermediate school. She went to, now she's got kids that are carrying the Chromebooks every day, and I've seen her emails like, please send the kids down with their Chromebooks because we're able to tap into so much more. So they're going that way, but they're not to where we don't have the devices where they can do that yet, for sure. Any other questions? Go ahead, Blaine.
Can't let you off.
Let's do it.
So the feedback we're getting in the community is, obviously there's no money. That, Dusty wants more sports teams, and probably Randy wants more cameras.
Always.
You want lower class sizes. So that's I mean, it's just relentless tug. And when I see your TBDs in here, it scares me. So I'm at, are you asking for something? You got all this in your budget?
More than anything right now, I'm not at a point where I need to increase it. My biggest thing is, and I've said this from day one since I've been here, is I am pretty frugal. Don't take away from me at this point type of deal. You know what I mean? If I come in under budget, I feel good where I'm at. I mean, we're doing future planning now to where we're offsetting some dollars here and there. And I feel good as long as we don't come in and say, hey, we're cutting your budget by X amount. That's why I was saying in that last meeting, even the 1-to-1, technically I don't want any additional dollars. I just want to make sure that money that's always been under tech stays in tech.
So I don't have to worry that we're going to need a referendum or
No, we're not at that point.
Well, because when you do TBD,
well, that's just, I mean, it's hard to judge.
So you just don't know.
I don't know. Like, and for example, I'm going just off of goal 1 on replace additional Chromebooks. So this would be more planning. So if we move forward with the 1-to-1, I again would buy, my plan would be to get the 7th grade again next year, the brand new ones. So now 7th and 8th grade have pretty much 1 year or brand new machines. Take those back, we'll distribute those to the lower levels. So we might not need a whole lot. So that's why I don't know how many is going to be there. Same thing with looking at the infrastructure. I don't know what we're going to need. If we decide that, hey, we need a new firewall, then we might have to put that in then. But then it's going to be upon me, then I feel like to say, well, we need to watch what we spend here and make that work. And there might come a time where I come and say, hey, we really need this to happen. And I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. I stay in pretty good base with Dr. Wood on things like that. So.
Was that Is that a problem? Is that a problem?
What I would say to that, Josh, is you don't have to think back too far to where we were before you came, and the unbelievable amount of time we had to spend as a board dealing with technology
Yeah.
issues. I can tell you in the last 2 years, we've hardly had to have a discussion about it, and that's
Where we want to stay, and that's why all these needs to be ongoing. I don't want to wait around and be like, yeah, we'll take care of that storage thing 2 years down the road.
Right.
And then it's going to cost us $250,000 again to get it done.
Because it was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that the important thing to note too in regards to how we fund these things is that what's the shelf life for current technology? 4 months before something new is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, so we certainly plan for the future, but with technology, there could be something in the next year
That's it.
that
Absolutely.
all of a sudden changes, what the direction of what we're doing. So.
If you would have asked us, heck, 5 years ago about these Chromebooks, they're non-existent. Now they got a stranglehold on the education market. So what's going to come down the road, I wish I knew. But
And it's just, I can tell you, I have a daughter that went to school this year as a freshman to college. They don't even carry anything, books. She's carrying an Apple iPad Pro, and that's what they do everything on.
absolutely, I mean, and that's why I think one of our biggest things is we talk about we're making our kids' future career and college ready.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, if kids are taking and submitting their stuff online,
And
we're
I'll
not
also
doing
tell
it
you, there's
now.
textbooks about half as much when they're online. Much
Yeah.
cheaper.
So is there a day Google decides, I'll just charge you $2 a student? Do we even know what the option would be if we need to turn?
I mean, they could. They were pretty adamant that whenever this came off that they wouldn't, and that's been like, I mean, 6, 7 years ago. They haven't made a move on it.
Well,
Google makes, and here's my opinion on it, and I could be totally wrong on it. A Chromebook runs one web browser and one web browser only, Google Chrome, which you run one search engine, which is Google. If kids are buying these for school, they're buying them from home. Google makes their money not off a Chromebook. They make one every time you do a search, and those ads pop up.
that's right.
So
They're looking bigger picture.
they're looking. They did it smart, in my opinion.
But our job's to look out too.
Oh yeah, and there's nothing to say that they don't come in tomorrow and say, hey, we're going to start charging now. I think there'd be a pretty big uproar about it, but you never know. And we can't plan for that. I mean, we got to plan for today type of deal. So
Who knows, by the time everybody have their own cloud in their computer or in there, so
yeah,
technology may also change.
yeah. I mean, we're carrying them on our wrists right now.
Yeah.
So who knows? Anything else?
Any more questions for Josh, anybody? Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Very much.
Moving on, 4.4, this is opportunity for visitors to address the school board on any agenda topic. They wish to get up, talk to the board about something that's on the agenda tonight? You want to speak? Yeah, if you would, if you could, just step over here, give us your name, and if you could, keep it to about 5 minutes. And we may not comment, depending on what it is, and if it's part of an agenda later on topic, we'll use it at that point. Otherwise, we'll have personnel get back with you.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm Dan Hazelton. I'm the president of Henson Robinson Company in Springfield. And I'm here tonight with some questions and concerns about the recent bid process for the chiller replacement at the Glenwood High School. Before I get into my question or concern, I'd like to maybe correct the record a little bit. I'm assuming that all the board members have a bid tabulation worksheet. There's an error in there. We can get into that later, but it was asked in the explanation that you have that there was an amount added to our bid for a performance bond. We were asked about that. That was added to the criteria. In the RFP, it clearly states on page 1 that there is no performance bond required. So for your record, I'd like that bid tabulation sheet, that to be recognized. And I don't know if anybody has the RFP with them, but I'd be glad to share mine if you'd like to look at it. So, assuming that that's correct and I'm correct there, Henson Robinson provided a proposal on November 21st in response to an RFP from the school district. The RFP was created using a quote, "the district directed design build delivery method." For lay people, that means there's different ways to skin this cat. We give you a performance criteria, we give you a basic set of parameters. It's up to you to come up with a design to meet the performance that we've asked for. It's not a strict bid process. There's different ways to do it. The bids were opened immediately after the bids, and when I say immediately, at the bid opening, immediately afterwards, our project manager started receiving text messages, emails, asking about the technical nature of our bid. And it seemed to be from the very beginning that our competitors' design criteria was a preferred method. That's borne out by all the emails that we've received in subsequent days. And to the extent that yesterday we were asked to re-quote the project with the other bidder's design. And so, very unusual, irregular process. And so part of my questioning for this board is, I guess, could you or would you accept a revised proposal, either up or down, after the bids were opened? We didn't decline to provide that information. We only suggested that we needed more time to do it. That was a request that was made of us yesterday at 10:51, I think, in the morning, in an email from district personnel. We explained to them at that time we'd have to redraw the project and get electrical and other subcontractor numbers in order to put together an accurate response. It simply couldn't be done. We weren't trying to be difficult, we didn't have time. And so would the district, and could you accept a revised proposal like this after the numbers are all read in public knowledge? And I guess I'm looking for an answer there. Is that possible? Is that allowed?
Good question. Well,
Here, I have a response for both of them. Give me yes, I have a revised proposal for you to consider tonight. As the chief executive officer in our company, I would be authorized to revise a proposal for you to consider tonight. Highly irregular and unusual, but the request was made yesterday and I failed to see the difference between yesterday's request and tonight's offer. So I have an offer if you'd like it. And if the answer is no, then I think that the criteria that you need to evaluate those proposals is those are proposals that were opened and presented on the 21st, nothing subsequent to that in the way of design changes, dollar amount changes. And let me further add, if there is information after the RFP provided that there was something very specific that you wanted, then I guess why didn't you ask for it? We offered in our technical explanation with our bid that there was this other design that could be considered and that we would be glad to provide a proposal for that. That was done the day of the bid. But what we were doing in the spirit of the RFP was to have the most cost-efficient design meeting the RFP criteria, which we did. After that, it seems very apparent that someone wants something different that's very specific that we did not include. We haven't had a chance to do that. And tonight, it looks like on this agenda, it's being recommended that you accept a proposal, a competitive proposal, and that in the notes explaining the evaluation of the two proposals, someone has suggested that our proposal would go up by $50,000 to $80,000 to match the other bid. That is not a bid that Henson Robinson Company provided. Someone, and I don't know who did that, but I think it's very unfair if you want that system that we not be given the opportunity to do it somehow. But I think it's really irregular for you or someone to interject a number into our bid process for purposes of evaluation. And so that, therein lies our concerns and our questions about this process. And I will tell you that next year it'll be my 40th year in construction. I'm the president of Henson Robinson for 25 years, and this is something I've probably never seen before. Very unusual, highly irregular, and concerning to us. Questions?
Okay, we do appreciate, and we're going to take that into consideration when we get to that part of the agenda.
Okay.
Did you have anything else you wanted to share?
The only thing I would do, please don't try to debate me about the technical merits of either proposal.
Fine.
Because I'm a layman, probably just like most of the rest of you.
Okay.
I'm more concerned with the process rather than arguing the merits. I think it would be fair to suggest that both proposals meet the RFP criteria.
Sure.
Okay?
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda items 5.1 to 5.10. Anybody wish to pull any of them?
Yes, 6.17. 6.17.
5, we're on 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were telling me.
5.1 to 5.10. Anybody wish to pull any of them? Okay, if not, then do I have a motion to approve them as presented?
Second.
Thank you. Betsy, please.
Yes. Maddox.
Yes.
Siren.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
Duraraj.
Yes.
And Cobb.
Yes. Moving on to personnel consent items. We got 6.1 to 6.20. Anybody wish to pull any of them?
I'd like to pull 6.6, resignation of GMS custodian.
6.5, I think, is the one you want.
Oh, have you changed the
6.5.
numbers?
Is it 6.5?
It is 6, yes.
6.5.
Okay, 6.5.
But the resignation of the GMS head custodian. Any others?
I'd like to pull 6.17. I can't find my agenda, but that's what it is.
6.17.
That's probably moved too then.
Here it is.
No, it isn't 6.17.
Hold on, let's check.
Let's see, what's 6.16? 6.16.
But there's two assistant. There's two assistants.
It's the first
It's
one.
that one right there. It
Okay.
says Taylor Cobb.
Gotcha.
Okay, then do I have a motion then to approve 6.1 to 6.4 and 6.6 to 6.15 and 6.17 to 6.19 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Second. Although, Betsy, please.
Yep. Siren.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
Duraraj.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Cobb.
Yes. Resignation of the
GMS head custodian.
Right.
Susan?
I just wanted to basically recognize that Deb Bell has worked for the district for 16 years. She's worked very hard, and she has accepted employment at another educational institution. So I just wanted to wish her well in her new career and new job. So thank you very much.
Can I say something too?
Is it okay if we say something, Deb?
No, not at all. I just, no, you know what, Deb is somebody that's been highly visible around the district. It doesn't matter if she's on the job, in the cafeteria. I've never seen a harder worker. I've never seen somebody that's been at different events, whether it's taking tickets to the ball game and greeting you with a smile. And you'll be missed, and I appreciate all the work that you've done for the district. I've only known you for about 2.5 years now, but I certainly want to thank you for your time here at Ball-Chatham, and Hannah will miss you as well, so thank you so much.
Do I have a motion then to approve 6-5, resignation of head custodian at GMS as presented then?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Betsy, please.
Yep, Worley,
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
Duraraj.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Siren.
Yes.
And Cop.
Yes. Deb, thank you very much.
And thank you for the experience.
We appreciate your time,
Thank you.
and we wish you the best.
Thank you. I hope I can make a difference there too.
Yeah, you will. 6-16,
Oh, I think.
appointment of assistant girls soccer coach at GHS. Yeah, I think it was pulled for the fact that it is my daughter. I'm going to abstain. So you guys do what you need to do.
So moved.
That's it.
Second.
Second.
Betsy?
Yes, Yurevich.
Yes.
Duraraj.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Siren.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
And you have recused yourself.
I'm abstaining, yes. All right, moving on. New business. First reading, policy 4:170, AP4, National Terrorism Advisory System and Policy. Randy, this is all first reading stuff,
Yes.
information only at this time?
It is, we have copies of them, have you looked at them?
Yeah.
Anyone? I reviewed these too, and frankly, the procedure for metal detectors, if we ever decide to have a metal detector policy, this would be sufficient. I'm not a opponent of metal detectors at this time, especially ones that involve a physical structure at the entrance of the school door. If we did decide to use those in the future, I want the law enforcement personnel to be the ones that administer the test with a wand. I think it's less intrusive. I think it sends a different connotation. You can do those in private. And from what we've experienced, particularly with our weapon searches, the detector would slow us down. So I'm not crazy about it. I was approached by the Chatham Police Department a few months ago inquiring if we want to get involved in a program with these, but at the present time, I wouldn't support it for us. The other policy on the National Terrorism Advisory System, we currently receive this information through STIC, through the state police. This is public domain information that they're providing here. We get much more in-depth and detailed information from an outside source. So this, again, is just good to know, augment what we have, that it wouldn't be what we use totally, completely.
So you participate in STIC's program then?
Yes.
Awesome.
Right. All of our school district does.
Any other comments, questions? First reading, information only. Randy, thank you. Moving on then to 7.2, the chiller replacement item for the GHS. Based off the information we heard earlier, I'm going to recommend that we table that for now until we can get some more information. Anybody else got any comments? Concerns? Do we need a motion then to have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Betsy, please.
Yes. Dewey-Rush.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Siren.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
And Cop.
Yes. Moving on, 7.3. Approval to proceed using Daktronics for the replacement of the scoreboards and sound systems at the high school football, soccer, track complexes. Dusty, welcome.
Thank you. First of all, Josh, I love the Ford line. That's great. So I have to remember that one. So tonight I wanted to recommend the action that we approve the bid from Daktronics for the replacement of the scoreboards and sound systems at the high school for both football and soccer complexes. We had two companies that provided us with bids, and the bid tabulation sheet should be in your packet. The Daktronics was significantly lower in their bid than Nevco was. And so we feel that with the marketing agreement that we have in place as part of our big specs and moving forward, we feel like this is going to be a really good opportunity to provide these scoreboards in a way that, as opposed to costing the district money, is a way for us to pay for these scoreboards through this marketing and advertising project, and also to eventually generate revenue for the district as well. So we're looking at this as a cost-saving opportunity. Questions?
I guess I'm looking for a little more detail.
Okay.
Like specifics.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Who's doing what and
Okay.
how much and
Okay. Yeah.
how long maybe.
Sure. Okay, so the specifics on it, the Nevco bid was $540,000. The Daktronics bid was $392,756. Part of, and I even printed out a copy of the section in our bid specs that talked about the marketing and our marketing expectations. So I made copies for everybody. If you'd like me to just pass one out, I'd be happy to do that. So part of the bid spec that Daktronics has agreed to was working with us on this project. And so the first phase of the project is to develop the marketing plan and go and establish advertising partnerships with businesses. We have no intention of moving forward with this project if we cannot create the advertising packages, have the advertising contract secured. We have no intention of moving forward with the project, and it's very specifically spelled out that if we do not have all of the advertising contracts secured prior to May 1st, then the project becomes null and void, and we walk away and we owe zero. We don't owe anything to Daktronics, even though they are coming and going to fully help us with the selling of the ads and the building of the packages.
So are you saying that they're guaranteeing that we'll have the $392,000 up front before the board's done?
The advertising,
Yes,
the
yes.
advertising
Will
contracts.
there be an equivalent amount of cash from the advertising to cover the
The
cost?
advertising contracts, as per my conversations with them and with other school districts, is those contracts are typically 5-year contracts, and so those are annual payments over the course of those 5 years that companies will make on their contract in order to pay the installment loan of the Daktronics.
So the school would not upfront any money, it would just come out of the proceeds of the
Yes.
monthly payments from the
Yes.
advertisers?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
And so, Daktronics accepts that there'll be, multiple payments over multiple years, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, Charlotte and I sat down and talked about the best way to proceed with that. And Daktronics has an installment loan program, basically a lease-to-own program. It's over a 5-year period of time, and you can arrange those payments either in a monthly payment situation or in an annual payment situation.
Are the agreements with the vendors for doing the advertising, not the one that's building the board, not Daktronics, but the people that will be doing the advertising that's going to generate the cash flow to pay for it, are their contracts written concretely where they can't back out of those contracts?
Yes, and in fact, part of what Daktronics has offered is to work with us to develop that language in those contracts, to have that concrete language.
Okay, that's good.
So tonight, what are we approving?
We-
Because if we haven't seen that, if we still haven't come up with the language, I'm suddenly real waffling.
Well, we're approving to begin work with Daktronics on building those contracts, having those meetings with those businesses, selling the advertising so that we can prepare for the next phase, which would be the construction phase of the project.
So that,
Will we vote again then, or is tonight's approval?
Tonight's approving that if we're able to raise the money, then we move forward with the project.
so you don't,
It was all part of the same bid package, the marketing, it's in phases, but yes. your
I'll just
approval-
cut to the chase.
Yeah,
If
sure.
say I have a business and I want to give you $1,000 over the 5 years.
Okay.
2 years from now, my business goes broke and I've given you 400. What do you do?
It is a good-
And you
it
can
is-
add a
it
couple
is-
zeros to that for a big business, I
It
suppose.
is a good question, and so our plan is we have a benchmark goal of what we want to hit above and beyond what we're going to owe Daktronics on an annual basis. In fact, the ballpark number that we're working with, if you break down what it's going to cost on an annual payment, we want to exceed that by approximately $17,000 a year. So that gives us a cushion where if we have an advertiser who ends up in a situation where a bankrupt type situation where we can go out and get a replacement advertiser, work with a partner to do that, but also to build that cushion there where we are not at a loss. The other thing I think you need to remember is that our systems are outdated and our systems are going to need to be replaced. And our sound system alone is in dire need of replacement now. And so without doing this project, it was going to be on us to pay for those systems and replace those systems. So this is the opportunity for us to go out and get ahead of this and not only pay for these systems, but also create future revenue as well.
so that's $17,000 above and beyond what you projected to pay for the actual scoreboard.
That's my goal right now.
Right.
But obviously.
But will that stay in place until the 5 years elapses and not spend any of that cash? Will it stay in an account frozen until such a time that we've recovered all the funds?
That's a great question that I wish Charlotte was here to help answer, whether or not we're better off paying more principal ahead of time.
I would just say I think that would be better, because I would not want to be in a situation where you're spending those dollars in case you had a scenario where somebody wasn't able to pay and you could use those funds to pay for that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at that.
I'm just looking for ways to
Sure.
make sure that the district is protected in case things go
Absolutely.
south, because sometimes in business ventures this happens.
Absolutely.
So at this point, all you're looking for is the blessing to pick one vendor over another and start working with them. No construction and no money is going to be done or spent until at least the 1st of May. Can you come back to us the 1st of May and give us an update, some sort of a...
Yes, absolutely.
A
And I'll have,
status.
yeah, absolutely.
Probably before then.
Yes, definitely before then.
Okay.
And that's why we want to start now, because it's important to get started now and start having those meetings and developing those packages so
Yeah,
that.
I agree, absolutely.
So I have a couple, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
have a question, Dusty. I think from the meeting when you are presented, I was understanding the way we are not involving with any advertisement company. So whoever doing the board, for example, if the Daktronics is doing the business, they will find the advertiser, they will do everything, so they will take care of everything. Just we are giving the space for them. That's what I understand. Am I right?
We're working together. So they're gonna come and partner with us, so that, because we have the relationships with our local businesses, and so we're not just sending a representative from Daktronics to go out and cold call our local businesses. We want to develop and nurture those relationships that we already have and build stronger, newer relationships as well. So they're going to work with us. One example would be that one of the initial parts of the advertising plan would be to invite local businesses together for a meeting at Glenwood High School in the auditorium, where myself and representatives from Daktronics would be there, and we could present the advertising partnerships that we have available, and we can work together to do that, and work together to go and meet with local businesses. And it's not them doing it, it's not us doing it, it's us doing it together with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm certain when you went out and you were working on putting this project together, you talked to other districts that
We
had
did.
worked through this.
We did.
And they were able to demonstrate how the process worked, and
We
they
did.
were very happy with the way it went.
We did, and we asked for additional references
Okay.
through here, and so I've made even more phone calls, and I've got more waiting to get returned to me as well. But yeah,
would
the
think-
bottom line is, yes, districts across Illinois and across the country are using this as a way to raise money, because districts don't have
Sure.
money just they can pull out of their pocket and buy a scoreboard like this.
Knowing you, Dusty, I'm sure you did your due diligence. I just have to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a couple questions. So, is this a lease to own, or is this an outright purchase?
It's a lease to own. It's an installment loan over 5 years.
Okay, who's paying the interest rate, or are you figuring out as part of your?
The interest rate on the paperwork I received yesterday ends up being a total expense of about $425,000 once the interest rate is added in over those 5 years.
Okay, so let's see, 425 versus 392,
A
right?
little over 8%,
8%?
if I'm doing the math right, top of my head. Does that sound right?
Sounds high.
No.
Sorry, we had a sidebar, but are you talking the interest rate on the contract?
Yeah.
33,000 on 392.
Wow.
So really, I mean, really, you have to say that the cost of the project is 425, because you have to include the interest. I mean, that's capitalized interest. That's part of the
Yes.
cost of the asset.
Yeah, so you're looking at about $85,000 a year approximately,
No, that is for 5 years, right?
over 5
And
years.
so,
No.
well, wouldn't it be? Yeah, 425, okay. Well, that's a different scenario than what I initially understood. I thought basically,
Well, if I recall, the last time we talked, you threw out $500,000, which is what I think was kind of
Yeah.
more of what we were expecting. So
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I was extremely pleasantly surprised by the bid number.
well, I basically would suggest that your explanation is somewhat erroneous, that the interest expense wasn't included. But be that as it may, my understanding was you'd come with, checks equaling 392 and say, here are all the checks. There aren't any pledges involved. It's right here. And, okay, but that's quite unusual. So, I understand why vendors will need to make annual payments. But this brings me to a couple other questions I have.
Okay.
What's the warranty period on this?
5-year parts and labor.
Okay. Okay, and then my next question is what's the life of this scoreboard typically? 10 years?
No, Mike, you remember, they did say that it would last longer than, It's in their documents.
And I don't know exactly.
How many years?
It is in here. It was much longer than 10 years. It was, the half-life was 100,000 hours.
It was.
Yeah, the half-life was, if memory serves off the top of my head, it was 100,000 hours half-life.
Okay.
I would have to dive into the.
Well, given the fact
details.
that, okay, well, there are 6 football games per year plus soccer. That seems like it could last a really long time.
It was a very long
okay.
time.
So then my next question is, what are you going to do after the 5th year ends? Were you planning to buy a service contract, a maintenance service agreement?
Well, first and foremost, we're planning on renewing those advertising contracts to continue to bring in revenue. Because we still have the advertising space, we still have the in-game production value so that we have that opportunity. And I think that's probably part of the bigger picture, is that this isn't just a project that's done at 5 years. The advertising keeps going so that it creates opportunities for us to generate
And
substantial
ultimately,
amount
that's where we want to be.
of revenue, where we can
So did you
help
ever, did you,
do other things.
did you know what a maintenance service contract is, how much it is?
I, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what the service
Okay.
contract is after that.
So years 6 through 10,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at generating an equivalent amount of income, like $392,000, $400,000?
That is the goal, yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Susan, back to your question about the services, the neat thing about these scoreboards and the way they're designed is they're designed in panels. So the panels can be taken apart so that when one panel goes out, and we did put that in the specs, so that when one panel goes out, the whole scoreboard doesn't go out. It's just that panel can go out, that panel can be replaced so that the cost to repair is minimized to those individual panels as opposed to the whole scoreboard.
And we can do it.
Yes, and we have the ability to, and work on it.
Yeah, we can do it.
And this is 2 scoreboards.
It's actually 3. It's the big LED video board on the football field. It's to replace the small one at the north end of the football field with one that's similar in size, but upgraded technology. And then it's to another LED board with the soccer field. It'll be run for soccer and track. Yeah. And the sound system is included for the football field and the sound system for the soccer stadium.
When you were talking, I'm just curious, what was the approximate cost to replace the sound system? Because I know that is something that is...
Well, I can give you the bids from both Daktronics and Nevco, the cost of their, because we had them break apart the bid. And the sound systems, for Daktronics, the football sound system was they quoted us at $32,959. Soccer was $21,797. For Nevco, football was $34,520 and soccer was $32,928.
And I think the cost of the existing system right now with all the amplifiers and all of that stuff, I think is right around $25,000.
That's no brainer.
I just, you're new here. So we walk this line all the time of, and this is for everybody really. How deep are we digging so we're the crazy board versus, okay, that guy made a bad deal and oops, he's gone and there's nobody to, you see the line we're walking? I'm just being honest with you, I'm feeling rushed tonight. We gave you the go ahead to go find some stuff. And we're asking all these questions and we just don't know. I'm not against scoreboards. I think anytime you get something free, it sounds like a cool idea. We got parents wanting more ball teams. And what I'm saying is if 2 years in, the money doesn't arrive, what I'm gonna hear is, oh, you couldn't get more ball teams, but you could get new scoreboards. So I'm begging you to understand the situation we're in.
Okay, so
I just need it.
to play devil's advocate,
And like the service
my
contract,
argument
I don't
would be-
know, I'm sorry, that's not a good enough answer.
so my argument to that is if we want more ball teams and we want better facilities, and this is an opportunity for us to go and reduce cost, generate revenue, and have some added opportunities. Whereas otherwise, staying status quo, we're still gonna very quickly come upon the point where we're gonna have to replace those scoreboards, and we have to replace the sound systems now. And that's gonna cost us money. Whereas right now, the opportunity that presents us by voting this forward tonight is that we can get to work on selling those ads. And we may not get there. And I'll be happy to share the progress along the way. But we don't get there, we don't do the project, and we walk away from it. And I'm perfectly okay with that, and we've made it very clear to the people bidding that is how we are gonna handle it.
So, just for example, we vote tonight, we can't pull it back. So if something happens and we only get half the funding, I trust that you're gonna find it. We gotta look out, what can go wrong.
We told
is all
them
we're
we
asking.
have to have funding equivalent to purchase the board. We're not going forward with half the funding now.
And if you have, whatever the funding you have, we just have to ask ourselves, what if it doesn't come through 2 years in? That's more than a black eye. And when you said we don't have the contract yet, that bothers me.
Well, I think it's part of the bid was to work with Daktronics, who has a marketing wing, this is what they do full-time. It's not a scoreboard company doing this on the side. They have a unit that's their full-time job. And I got to tell you, throughout this project, that was what gave me confidence in this, is that I don't want to write a contract up now and show you, because I want to work with the experts on writing up the right contract, and we can't work with the experts in that capacity until we approve the going ahead of it.
So my assumption would be we're going to have paperwork that says if we don't have it by May 1st, we're out.
We already do.
And then my second assumption is having it by May 1st is having already signed advertising contracts, which are legal documents.
Yes.
And outside of that, I don't know how else to protect us. So if you do sign contracts and somebody backs out, that crap happens all the time, and you can't. If we anticipate that and not do projects because of that anticipation, we can't do anything, because there's people screwing people over every day. So if you do all your front-end work, as far as I'm concerned, this sounds like a great idea.
I was gonna ask you, our scoreboard, is it equivalent or the same scoreboard that SHG currently has?
The one that we're looking at?
Yes.
No, it's nicer.
But it's on the same scale is what I'm saying. It's nicer. But I'm saying it's on the same scale.
We had to make sure.
Size-wise, it's wider.
Well, there's a reason why I asked.
It's wider.
Okay. There are not very many high schools that are in this game right now, correct?
No, that's actually not true.
No, I mean in our area, in this
In our
market.
area, well, in central Illinois, there are quite a few, but
not
just
in-
not in the Springfield area.
And which
Yes.
is why I asked this question, is if we delay this and somebody else jumps in the game, that's less available advertisers to get on our
Yes.
board, correct?
Yes.
I'm sure they've had that
Yes.
discussion.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great point. Because we don't want to miss out on those opportunities.
I really like the idea. The problem is whether the advertisement from Chatham local advertisements, do you think we can generate this much money, about $400,000 or $500,000 in 5 years?
Well, I think we have the added benefit of that our district isn't just Chatham. Our district is Chatham and the surrounding communities, including a lot of businesses in Springfield and a lot of big businesses in Springfield, and so.
Yeah, that is my concern. Otherwise, it's an excellent idea, no doubt about that.
Well, and that's why we put in there that if we haven't gotten to that point financially, then we won't do the deal. So if we can't achieve that goal, then we don't do the project.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that there won't actually be a final contract until probably May, right?
For Daktronics?
Yes, to go ahead and get started.
Correct.
Would there be anything wrong with bringing that to the board for approval at that time?
I don't think so.
That final
No,
contract?
I don't think so.
Do you not need a contract between the district and Daktronics now?
No, I need board approval on the bid proposal to begin the marketing part of the project.
Oh, so he's just asking
Right.
for.
But we have a contract if we approve tonight. Don't we have a contract with Daktronics?
Only if they get the right amount of advertisers, correct?
Yes, the
To get
contract
started in the process, but there
Yeah,
won't be
I
a
think,
final.
yeah.
They want a commitment to say, you're choosing us to market this product.
You explain.
You're just picking a vendor tonight and getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And you're gonna negotiate everything else out and work on sponsors between now and May. And then at that time.
But they can't, at this point, they wouldn't be able to change the price on us of the
Correct.
scoreboard and.
You lock the price in as well?
Yes.
Okay.
But by May, you'll have all that language that, and how it's gonna look. Before they'll even.
Yes.
Have our lawyers looked at these contracts to make sure that they're viable?
Have they?
We will.
Well, there's no contract.
Well, I know, but they
Yes, will our attorneys absolutely?
Well, I guess I'm sort of like Dwayne. I don't have enough, I mean, this is sort of, I'm surprised that we haven't had something in front of us that looks at this and we can start asking questions. But my understanding is, with our approval tonight, we're saying that you can work with Vectronics, and obviously they must have some inclination that it could be successful, otherwise, you know.
Oh, they're highly confident.
Okay, so what kind of information did you give to them where they came to this conclusion that this is workable?
Their experience doing this project in many other locations.
Okay, but, I mean, what did you do? Give them economic data, or what, I mean, what did they ask for as far as, okay, I think this project...
Part of what we will do is we will sit down and we will do a market analysis from this point forward.
What would the scoreboard cost, just if we went out and bought it? Is that a dumb question?
Oh, I mean, this is what it would cost if we just went out and bought it.
Yeah, I guess there's 3 of them.
Yeah. Oh, so per scoreboard?
No, I just, like, are they marking it up? Here's the thing. We've got a contract with Pepsi. That was a 25-year contract that somebody made 21 years ago. We're paying, I'll bet it's 10x if it's 2x for what we're buying from them. And we have no way of getting out of the contract. That's it. I'm not saying I don't trust you. I'm not saying I'm not for this project. I'm just saying.
We wouldn't even consider looking at an LED board without going this route. I wouldn't even begin to price it just to pay out of pocket. I mean, it's.
Yeah, okay. So I guess your comment that our scoreboard is nicer than SHG suggests that there's something that may well, again, I've used this, analogy regarding scoreboards. Do we have to drive a Cadillac for a scoreboard, or could we drive a Ford Focus and still have much, much better than what we have now?
No, I think always we have to be one step ahead in the area. That I like that idea. Bringing the LED technology or boards and everything. My only one concern is how can there is a guarantee for $100,000 per year to pay that company. So that is my only concern.
And like I said, if we don't have the advertising lined up, then we won't.
There is no project, so it will be stopped.
It will be stopped.
That makes sense.
They're asking for a commitment from us to work with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Are there,
Simple, very simple.
these schools you talk to, I don't know who they are, but nobody's ever backed out of their advertising? I'm talking about we got the money up front, 2 years in, they back out. What do we do?
We go and meet with new businesses. We go and try and raise more advertising. We go and try and replace them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on. I mean, make no mistakes about it. This is a ton of work for me. Okay, I mean, this isn't just a fun project. There's a lot of work that's involved in developing the marketing and working with them, but in selling the ads, and then continuing to do that after the boards are paid off. Because we want to be able to provide not just for football and soccer complexes. We want to be able to provide for softball and for baseball and for the middle school and in our gymnasiums. We want to be able to provide those things that keep pushing us to be at the best. I mean, that's You know, that's how we recruit the best coaches. It's how we recruit the best teachers. Is because we're considered one of the best, not just because of what we do in the classroom, but when you drive and see our facilities, it stands out to people. That's the reason I was first attracted to this position, is because I came here as a football coach and brought my teams down in the summer for 7-on-7 and got into those facilities and said, wow. You know, and that.
By building these contacts with these advertisers, you may also develop the ability to sell signage and stuff at some of our other facilities with those same advertisers, which would generate revenue as well.
Yeah, and absolutely, and just the fact that we're strengthening our community relations,
Right.
you know, and I think that's a big deal.
But we would own the boards ultimately.
Yes.
Once they're put up, they're ours.
Well, the idea is certainly meritorious, and I guess as Dwayne mentioned previously, we're always in a position of looking at how do we use our resources wisely? What's the risk, if any, that we will assume expenses that we otherwise didn't expect to assume? So, you know, we all, as board members, will interpret this proposal differently.
Sure.
Based on risk evaluation, based on what we think future revenues are going to look like for the district.
Well, I also want you to evaluate the risk of not doing it, and the cost of the district of not attempting to do this, because I think there's a significant risk there of the cost of the replacement of our facilities and not being able to have the quality facilities we want if we're not able to tackle some of these projects successfully.
Well, okay, let me ask you an important question, Dusty. Basically, you know, I would advocate very forcefully, by the way, that when you come up short on any of these maintenance contracts or whatever, it's your department's revenue and budget that picks it up. It shouldn't be Mike Dobbs. It shouldn't be Mike Dobbs paying for any of the maintenance service calls or whatever. He's got chillers to worry about. So do you feel that this is, you feel so strongly that if by chance we're on the hook, you would be willing to take that reduction in your athletic department's budget?
Yes.
Fair enough. Do I have a motion to approve the proceeding of Daktronic Incorporated for the replacement of scoreboards and sound systems at the high school football and soccer track complexes?
Second.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Betsy, please.
Yes, Dewey-Raj.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Siren.
Yep.
Worley.
Abstain.
Okay, Yurovich.
Yes.
And Cobb.
Yes. Dusty, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to 7-4, we have to set a date for a truth and taxation hearing, and that date is going to be December 18th.
Yes.
2017 at 6:30 p.m. At that time, Charlotte will present a levy and explain everything in public. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Betsy, please.
Yep. Maddox.
Yes.
Siren.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Yurovich.
Yes.
Dewey-Raj.
Yes.
And Cobb.
Yes. Moving on, 7-5, III conference update. We just got back from...
We, each year, III, for those of you who obviously know what that is, and some of you may not, but it's an opportunity for school board members and district administration. It's a professional development opportunity that's in Chicago. There's a lot of different scenarios that exist, one of which, the delegate, for example, I mean, you know, Dwayne will probably, because we've written actually communication to help resolution for policies within the state of Illinois. But I think there's two things that actually occur. Number one, professional development. As you well know, the state of Illinois, whether it has to do with funding, facilities, curriculum and instruction, safety in schools, leadership, whatever that might be, we have sessions that we're able to go to over a 2-day period. In addition, it also gives an opportunity to network. Not too often do you have the opportunity to network with other administrators throughout the state. And I think, as is important, the networking that goes on with board members. It's amazing because oftentimes we think we're on an island and other school districts are not experiencing the things that we are. And come to find out, no, we're all just on one big island and we're all experiencing, regardless of the size of the school district or the schools impacted. So I think if I walk away with anything, it's the ability to talk about different situations and scenarios and programs that other superintendents and boards of education work with on a daily basis. That, coupled with the professional development and the work sessions that we sit in on, have been very beneficial as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, who was the delegate? Did your proposal pass?
Actually, it did. It was recommended by the Resolutions Committee and was passed on the consent agenda. So it was actually passed as a belief statement, which is kind of a compliment. It's like one step up. So that was a big win for the district, I guess. And there are a lot of people coming. I mean, there's a lot of discussion. I would recommend that we as a board next year, there's usually 3 or 4 votes, and I was honestly torn on what to do. I just went with the Resolutions Committee's recommendation. If I wasn't sure, I would recommend, and they recommend, that we decide here how I'm going to vote before I go, because honestly I'm uncomfortable voting just my opinion versus the board's opinion. So that'd be a recommended change on our part for the process. No, it went very well.
Good, congratulations.
Yep. I think Steve offered for next year, or Brandon was.
No, Brandon did not.
Brandon wasn't there, so.
That's why he wanted to step in. Yeah, always a good time. And I'm still, after being there numerous times, it's just unbelievable the stuff you can pick up at these workshops. I value the time that we're up there. Good stuff.
I wish now I'd have gone to the Daktronics vendor table.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, actually, they had a table there.
Probably, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, otherwise I would have gone there and I talked to them, yeah. I don't know, I did not see, I'm not sure.
Okay, moving on then, communications 8-1, future board meeting dates. We got a regular meeting on the 18th of December. We got a transportation meeting.
We're going to move that to the regular meeting in January, transportation, dovetail that in.
We're going to move transportation on the 8th to the 22nd. Okay. And then we've also got a meeting on the 6th.
Yes, correct.
That's
December
correct.
6th.
But January 8th, we replaced with something.
My evaluation.
Oh, yeah. Superintendent.
Okay. Anybody, any other
Meeting on
dates?
December 6th.
And so December 6th is the strategic plan?
Yes, strategic
Oh.
plan,
Okay.
to finalize that document.
I think they said 6.
6.
Yes, 6 o'clock.
Anybody else got a date I need to have recognized? Or have any questions about these? All right, moving on, 8-2, this is an opportunity for citizens to address the school board on any topic. It doesn't have to be on the agenda. Anything you want to bring up? Now's the time. I'll give you 5 minutes. Get a stand up. No? Everybody good? All right, I need a motion then to adjourn. Thank you. Second. All those in favor? Good night, everybody.